nine, eight, seven, six.
Welcome. Welcome to Plugged In. Today's show is about 20 plus, and that is 20 plus years of marriage. And we have two special guests on the show on today. So if you would you please introduce yourselves?
I'm Preston Crowder.
And I'm Darla Crowder.
And also, would you just tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Well, we're the Crowders, and we've been married for 20 years, almost 21 years. Um, I, we have 2 dogs and 6 kids. Um,
Well, how did you meet?
Well, we met through a mutual friend at a little party, probably about, like she said, about 21 years ago.
no, 27.
Okay, I lost count, but it's in the 20s.
What were some of the qualities that, when y'all met, made y'all fall in love with each other?
We didn't fall in love with each other when we met. We just met. You know, we were friends for a long time before it got to that. We weren't even. It didn't start out as friends. We met through a mutual friend, and hardly ever seen each other after that. And then at times came when we would see each other. You know, it's kind of like, okay, you know, he's cool, and he's like, she's cool, but there wasn't attraction. It didn't happen like that.
So when was the moment when you guys know that he or she was the one, you know, y'all wanted to spend the rest of your lives together?
Well, I guess because as you go through life, we've been married for so long, but as you go through life, you learn some of the qualities that you look for is trust and loyalty. And through that, I mean, she been showing me that since I first met her. She always been trustworthy and she always been loyal. So them 2 qualities is a good possession to have.
Yeah.
Well, up on introducing each other to your parents, what did your parents think about? Well, what did your parents, Mr. Preston, think about her?
It was tough at first. It was rough, but I mean, she came to like her though. I mean, they love each other now, I would say.
I say it was easier in the beginning than it is now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Okay,
flipped that
well.
around.
Mm-hmm.
So how was your parents when they first met?
They were okay. I really, you know, I moved away from home at 18, and I met him at 18. And I love my parents and everything, but to meet them wasn't the big issue for me. Um, I was living my life, so I guess they liked him okay. It wouldn't have mattered, you know. Not that wasn't a bad kid or nothing, but I was just, once I moved away from home and left home, the issue as far as me going forward in my life wasn't so much what my parents thought. It was what I thought and what I wanted to do, because I had a son to take care of, so that's what I had to think about.
Her mother loves me.
But my
to
mother
this
loves
day.
him. My mother loves my husband.
Yeah, let's get that right.
But I don't know. Starting out, when we first got married, by the time we were married, his parents loved me, and my parents loved him, and all that. But in the beginning, as we look at it, we didn't even really care, did we?
No, we didn't care.
So pretty much
think
y'all
maybe
just
did.
saying y'all didn't even care of their responses, positive or negative. Y'all knew that y'all were gonna actually make it work.
Yeah,
regardless of-
yeah, it's what we wanted to do. So.
This is what we wanted.
All right. So how did you guys pursue each other?
We were always in the street, so and we always seen each other in the street.
Seeing
And,
each
you
other
know,
in the street
it wasn't
clubs.
so much of pursuing. It's just he was where I was at, and I was where he was at, even whether we were together or not. It was always there. So.
All right. So actually, who proposed to who, or did you propose to her, or did you? How did y'all do that?
I don't want to tell this story.
When it's kind of like when in life is he was young and I was young, so we did a lot of things that maybe you should have, maybe you shouldn't have, or whatever. But he ended up getting into some trouble. So it was like, I was kind of like, you cool and I love you, and I ride with you and everything, but you gonna have to put a ring on it, cause you know he wanted me there with him, but I ain't sticking around with you like that, and you ain't got no commitment.
She said no commitment without the ring.
So he was like, well then, I want you to marry me. I'm like, well that's, you know, being young, if we're gonna go through this, and we're gonna have to go through it with some, I gotta have something to say. It was, you know, I was supposed to do this or something, you know. Even though I loved him, it was more, when things got rough, who was gonna be there. And that's what ended up making the marriage work. Because when it got down to the nitty gritty and things got ugly, it was just me and him. So we wrote it out. That's just how it was.
Awesome. So, like, for us, like, when y'all got married, how was the transition from, you know, y'all just dating, being single, to actually coming as one?
It was hard for me.
It sure was.
It was super hard for me. But I mean, like I said, I was in the streets, so I know how it is to see different women. I got kids by, I got 2 kids by my wife, and then I got 4 other kids outside her. So, but I know how it is to be in the streets. But the transition was just, it was kind of hard. But I learned when you married for so long, you learn to really love a person and get to know a person. Like, you can love them all day long and say you love them, but if you get a point in time where you do really say, oh, that's who I really love, that's who I want to be with, and then you'll be like, everything that you doing or whatever you're trying to do, you're going to shut that down just because of that one person, which is her for me, in a way.
So what would you have to say behind that?
It was hard, and I had to teach this man how to be the man that I needed him to be. His idea of being a man was, you know, he had children. Of course, he was grown, so, you know, he's a man. But how many women he can get at out here, you know, that's going to show how much a man I am now. No. I had to teach him what women really need out of a man. Not just to know that you're, because he was always neat, always smelled good, always looked good and stuff like that. That's when it really comes down to it, that means nothing. So I had to kind of teach him, forgive me, Lord, for saying this, but what his mama didn't, about, you know, how to treat a woman and to be the man for your children, for your wife, for your family, because, and once he grasped it, once he got that, it's smooth sailing.
0 to 100 real quick.
But before that, it was tough because I always had a different kind of idea about life because when I had my kids early. So, like I said, I was not with my parents and not with my aunts or anybody, so I took it on myself, and I had a different idea and view of what it's going to take for us to make it out here than he did. And I had to get him across over to my side and work pretty good, so, you know.
Worked out pretty good to me.
So even like going through the transition and you making him the man, you know, that you wanted him to be. I do know that, you know, y'all have stated that y'all have children. So when it comes to that area, for instance, children, I mean, how prepared were you guys? Because you said you were kind of young and you were in the street with your kids. So when y'all actually decided to have them together, then how was that?
Surprise. It was a surprise.
Surprise. I mean,
because I already had one son, and I hadn't planned on having any more. And he had 4 kids, and he hadn't planned on having any more. So when we had our child together, he was a real surprise child because I wasn't expecting to have another baby. But as far as our family and how we've brought the kids up together, that was actually easy.
It wasn't so much as easy when it came to the parents, because you got kids on the outside. It's like when you're young, it's a lot of stuff going on.
That's something that I had to teach him.
And so when you
that goes back to the teaching.
The babies and mamas and everybody running different ways, but she taught me how to just bring all of them together and be a whole. And that's what we've been doing. We've been doing this since like day one. All my kids, they love each other, they treat each other like brothers and sisters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for us, like the financial part of it, I mean, the emotion, I mean, how did you deal with all that at that age?
We struggled. We struggled. Even when I sold drugs or whatever, we struggled. But I mean, it's cause you got the ups and downs. It's street life. It's nothing concrete about that. I learned how to work and go legit through her. I never knew nothing about paying bills or credit cards or building credit. I learned all that through her. She taught me how to be grounded. Otherwise than that, I'd probably still be doing what I used to do.
So like, for as all that, even with you, her being there by your side, teaching her, showing her how to be the man that she wanted you to be, for as like your emotions, how did that make you feel for as being a man and you have this strong woman kind of guiding you through that? How did you feel?
Well, you a man before you anything, but you gotta have certain values and qualities about yourself that make you just stand out. Cause you can just be any ordinary man, but you gotta do certain things that make you say, oh, okay, he a little bit different in a way. But I mean, it's been good for me.
So how did you deal with that for as like his street life and the stuff that he was, you know, doing? How was your emotions?
I was always driven by my children. I wasn't worried about him and what he was doing per se. As my husband, I dealt with him on a whole different level. The main portion of my life was surrounded around the kids because, like I say, you know, just because you want to, you know, my husband was still kind of wrapped into, after, you know, having to go to jail and all this stuff, he still, his thinking was different. My thinking was always towards the kids, you know, more so. So with me focusing so much of my time and energy on my children, I was good because I didn't put a lot of energy into what he was doing and the way he was thinking. And he just, it kind of got to a point where he looked over his shoulder and saw what the direction I was going in the children, and was like, I want to get on that train right there. Get off my bus and get on your train, sort of, and that's how it came to be.
Okay, so actually, how did having the children affect the marriage or y'all marriage? Do you think it affected it in any type of way?
Yeah, you having kids when you ain't ready gonna affect anybody. You're not ready to have them. So, and everybody have kids without being ready. Whether you ready or not, you know, if you're not ready, financially, it's gonna put a burden on you. But
it's like it made me grow up quicker, but it didn't make him grow up quicker. It made me grow up quicker. In the way that I've seen it, just looking at over the years of my family, because when I was younger, you know, all my family had husbands and everything. There was no baby daddies and all that. You know, that started with our generation. So I came from a long line of long-term marriages. And I just saw things that in a different way. Once we got married, that's not something that you just throw away. I don't care what happens in it. You work and fight to keep your marriage, and that's how you do it. So a lot of people today don't feel that way, and it's not worth working for. But in real life, in reality, it really is.
So how did you like incorporate transition from your childhood and raising y'all children for, you know, when y'all was young? I mean, how did y'all go about doing that?
Don't stop spanking your kids. Whip your kids.
we was hard on our
Keep
kids.
your kids in line. People need to start back keeping their kids in line. That's how you make, because we were young and there was a lot of children. You know, we had 6 children between us and everybody had to eat. So we got to work. We got to be able to work. They mom got to be able to work. You know, you can't be cutting up in school, getting suspended. No, we incorporated by giving structure. No matter what he did, my kids had structure. I always just managed to make sure that they were okay, and that's why we have such good kids now. All 6 of them awesome children.
But it's good because they seen they seen where I came up. They seen my life. My kids seen my life since they were 6, 4 or 5 years old. They seen my struggle, but they also had a mother who was grounded. I was out in the streets. So they got both sides, and they took a side to where none of my kids, all my kids go to college, graduated from college, A1 students. So they got, but then ain't like they don't know both worlds, because they do. They just chose to take their side of a good side, which is good, because you have choices in life, and I'm glad they chose that side of life to be on the good side instead of taking a bad path like I did. So that's real good for them.
So, like, how many years beyond the 20 have y'all been married?
Just almost a year.
All right, so what would you tell, like, you know, the married couples now, what would be some of the things that you would encourage them to do to make it
Take
to
it up.
your 20 plus years?
It's so much. It's so much to go on to being married. It's not easy. It's a struggle. But at the end of the day, you know, it's all good because if you love that person and she love you, ain't nothing in the world gonna stop it from manifesting to reality. So there's no way you can beat it. And then you got to make sure that you got a good person on your side. Like, don't go and get mad if you got something you ain't for sure of, because it's a long haul. It's a long haul. So if you know you got the right one, you make sure you keep them, because I kept mine. So, yep. And I love my baby.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
not
So
you
what
too,
would
but-
you have to say behind that?
Don't look for that fairy tale that you see in in the nursery rhymes and everything. Real life marriage is going to be work. It's going to be
That's right.
it's going to be good, but it's going to be bad too. It's good and bad and everything. And you have to have heart. You have to have the heart to withstand and the backbone to withstand when it's really, really bad, like Hurricane Katrina bad weather, and when it's really, really good, like, you know, the Bahama Beach on a beautiful day. But that Katrina kind of weather, you can't avoid it. It's life, and you got to be able to stand. You know, there all kinds of things happen in marriage. You lose children and parents, and there's sickness, and there's, you know, then you have the good part of, you know, people lose jobs. You know, when you get to where things are really bad, and that person, when you look up, they still can look at you and smile at you with love and see what they can do to make your day better. You know, that's when you know it's worth working on. You know, if you look up and you see that person ain't there, then maybe you married the wrong person, because you never give up on your heart. You never give up on your marriage. That's sacred. It's very special. And who you chose to marry and who God brought together with you, you might not like to look at them all the time. You know, I may look up at sometimes and be like, ugh. But at the same time, that's my husband, and we'll be all right. We're gonna make it.
And don't get
Yeah.
married for sex. Don't get married for financial. Don't get married because the dude look good or she look good. Make sure that you're getting married because you love that person.
That's right.
Because a lot of people get married for the wrong reason. We got married young, we didn't have nothing. So whatever we accumulate and whatever we go through, we'll go through it together. But for the new couples that get married, it's not gonna be easy, bro. Because we live in a different time too. I'm
That's
talking
right.
about 20 years ago. We living in 2015 now. Times have changed.
That's right.
So is there anything else that you might want to suggest the ones that are married now, that are going through things, or, you know, how can you explain to us, even when y'all was going through those rough times, you would get mad at her and, you know, she get mad at you. How did y'all deal with the anger part of it?
You pray about it.
That's right.
Pray about it. You pray over your marriage. You pray over your family. And in his, I always feel like you got to have somebody to talk to. You ain't got to necessarily listen to what they're telling you. You just always got to have an outlet to talk to. And sometimes it's funny because after being married for 20 years, even when I'm mad and need somebody to talk to, this is who I go talk to, even though he's the one I'm talking about.
Right.
So,
And we're nothing alike. Like, she's opposite. We are
Nothing
nothing alike.
but I found that over the years, after so long, he is who I talk to, and I can talk to him about him, and he can talk to me about me, and I might not like it, but you know, it is what it
And the
is.
good thing about it, I'm listening when I ain't listening.
It gets easier if you work on it. Just keep working on it. It just gets easier. And another thing that helps, praying, and the fact that we don't fight. We argue,
Yeah, we are.
but
don't fight.
we do not fight, and we never have. You shouldn't fight in your marriage, so we don't fight. You keep your hands to yourself and keep a mutual respect for each other's space.
All right, well, actually, you know, for as like, I know we can go back to like first the kids. I mean, how old is like your oldest? And I mean, have they all have he or she graduated, or what they got going now?
My oldest son is 28.
28, be 28.
My oldest son 28, daughter 28, 26.
They range from 21 to 28.
So my youngest son, he's 19 or 20. He's 20.
He's 21.
He 21?
Yeah, and he will graduate next year from college. He'll be the last one to graduate.
Okay.
So he my baby boy. He'll be out next year. So he go to school in Ohio, Oberlin College. So hopefully he'll come out with some honors and do something good. He like to write plays. He's a movie writer. So
Okay. So production.
production
Mhm.
type stuff. Yeah. So hopefully he'll do something big in it.
Maybe the next Tyler Perry.
Yeah, and get us some money.
Get some money rolling.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, is there anything else you guys would, suggest for, the ones that are not married, or how to prepare themselves?
When it comes to having children and getting married and things like that, people can prepare all that. You can prepare. You can save money and all these things. But the real preparation comes when you're in it day to day, living in life. You're going to learn. Nothing teaches you, nothing you can't learn from a book or school or anywhere, what you can learn from life itself. So
That's
just
right.
be prepared. Put your big boots on, you strap them up, your big girl panties, and get ready. Because marriage is a fun ride, but it's definitely a ride. It's a ride.
It's fun when you got somebody you rich, especially where you can bond with and just, you can spend all your time with. Because marriages don't last long no more. They just only last for a few times. My mother and my dad, they've been married 30 years. So I guess that's where I got it from. But it's been a good ride for me. So I ain't got no complaints.
We still have date night. We had date night last night, so,
Yeah, it was crazy.
Okay. Well, actually, I just want to thank you guys for coming in. It's been a pleasure speaking to you guys, and the encouraging words that y'all had gave to the 20 plus and the ones that are trying to make it where y'all at. So just want to thank y'all for coming in and being a part of the 20s plus show on today. And
we definitely appreciate you guys having us.
appreciate it.
All right, well.
Nice.
And I also want to thank the audience for actually watching us as well, too.